Guys, if I can remember how I do it to install these Safari windows. I've done, I don't know, a lot of them, 8 or 10, and it's just not coming to me right now exactly how I do it, but I had some trick that I did before and I'm trying to remember it. But generally I'll show you what I do, and there's no perfect easy way to do it. I like to have the perfect easy way, but not this. You almost always have to drill two times before you get it right. Hang on, let me just show you. So I've never really seen a pattern to these, and I've never had a set of them bust that was exactly the same. So generally what I do is I put this the Safari window in the place where it's going to go. Almost always there's some work done here, so this isn't always a perfect place to line up. So you're always having to fight something a little bit, because almost always there was rust issues on these things and it's been repaired. So don't be surprised if you have to drill it twice. But generally what I do first is I line it up like this, and I'm using magic marker, but I don't usually use that, but I just wanted to be able to show you guys a large area so that you can see. And generally what I try and do is I try and put the middle screw in first. Now I know it's easier to mark the one on the side, but it's a lot easier to see if I've got it in the middle, if it's lined up and centered on either side, if I do the middle one first. So let me see if I can remember how I do that, and then I'll show you. Yeah, so I think I recall how I do it is I center it by eye on either side. Then what I do is I flip the hinge upward like that. It's been a while since I put these in, at least a year. Oh, drop the phone. Let me show you here. So then I just go right inside the hole with my magic marker. Don't worry about if it's where you're at. If you're marking it, don't use a magic marker either. Use something that you can get off. If you put this on paint, you're going to have all kinds of problems. You will not get that magic marker off. It just stains right through everything. So, but I'm not really worried about it because I'm on primer stage, and I'm just using this to show you guys easy. So I mark the one in the middle. Okay, then I'll take it back out. I'll show you what. So I got it in there. It's centered about as close as I can get it. It's in the middle. I've got the one in the middle in, and then I'm going to go ahead and drill that one now. So you can see where my mark is. It's actually on the outer part of the frame. Where I'm going to need to drill is actually in the center here. So what I generally do is I'll actually eyeball the center. If you can see better this way. If you can see where I'm looking here, I'm at a different angle. This is the where the rubber goes, and you can see how far out that is. I'm going to eyeball the center of this, drill a small hole in here. I don't do it by drill size, so I just look at the screw. I think it's a number 10 screw, so I put a very small hole in there, and in fact I usually just use a self-tapper. I'll show you what I use. Usually what I'll use is a number 8 self-drilling screw. One like this. You get these boxes at Home Depot. I keep these around for all kinds of stuff like this. I use them to put on temporary sheet metal panels that I'm putting on with panel adhesive. All kinds of stuff like that I use these self-drilling screws for. So I'll use that to just drill the hole. Let me show you what that looks like. So there's my hole for a number 8 screw. So it's large enough for a number 10, and the number 10 will have a little bit of stuff to bite on there. So that's usually what I do to put them on. Then I'll go ahead and set the window and frame in place and make sure that it's centered. Of course, it's usually dumb luck. I usually get them pretty well centered by doing it that way. So once it's centered, I know it's good. The next thing I'm going to usually do is not put all the screws in yet. That may sound kind of stupid. Some guys will put all the screws in next, but really what I want to do is weld in my brackets, and then I'll go ahead and mount it. So what I do at this point is I get my welding clamp of where I'm going to put this. I'll mark them in place, and how I do that is by lifting up the Safari window to the full open position. Okay, and then I will put the mounting clamp, because you don't want it all the way to where it's over past center, to where when it's all the way open, it's at the very end of this thing. So, and that would be the right position for the mounting, for the whatever it is, the mounting, the weld-on pieces. I had an original Safari bus, so I kind of know. I took them off, when I bought a Safari bus. I'll tell you this story real quick while we're in the middle of this for fun. I had a fake 21 window. It should have been a 23 window because it had wraparound windows, but I didn't have the side corner windows, edge windows, because it was originally a combi bus. And somebody had put these Safari, they put all the 23 window glass in it. So, except for it didn't have the ones in the back corner. Not the back corner, but the side. So it was kind of really weird. I have a video that I'm going to be putting together of that bus. It was just something somebody did. It was like a bunch of hippies decided to do it. Like, well, what we're going to do, we rolled our bus, so let's just take all the glass out and let's put it in this one. Okay. So they figured out what to do, and of course I ended up with it. The guy was going to take it to the junkyard, and I was like, no, you're not. I want that thing. It's cool. I just wanted it because it was different and didn't really care if it was original. It was my surf bus, and that's what I used. And I used it for many years, and I sold it, about 3 or 4 years ago, just because I just wanted something different. It was all cow bust out. It was lowered, but it wasn't like cow buses are today. I have a bug bumper on it and some weird stuff. So anyway, that bus, when I was working on it, I wanted Safari windows. So my scouts, I always had friends that were scouting out for me, backyard finds, whatever. If they found stuff, I always had cash to buy them, and they always didn't. So, I'd do favors for them, fix their body work and stuff like that as trade to help me find projects and stuff when I was working, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. And lo and behold, they found a original 60, what was that thing? It was a combi bus. And I was trying to remember what year it was. I think it was 63, yeah. I think it was about 63 combi bus that was sealing wax red and beige gray underneath a coat of primer. It looked kind of like this, and it had sealing wax red and beige gray original paint underneath that. And I went over to the house and I talked to the guy and I said, "Hey, you want to sell that thing? It looks like it broke down. It had a bug transmission in it, so the wheels rubbed and everything else. It wasn't a wide axle either. It was just like had a bug trans in it. It was all set and real weird and everything. So you want to sell that thing?" And he goes, "Well, how much you give me?" I said, "How about 150?" And he goes, "Oh, okay." So it was like 2 blocks from my house, and it had the original Safari windows in it. And we pushed it to my house, took the Safaris out, and I took the Safaris out of it, put them in my bus, because back then they didn't have aftermarket Safaris. Okay, they didn't have that. So, and then they started making them a couple of years later, and they wanted more for those. It was just too much money to me. I was like $400 for Safari windows. I was like, back then that was a lot of money. So anyway, I took the Safari windows out, put them in my bus, and then while I was taking them out, my friend says, "Hey, what are you going to do with that other bus?" I go, "God, I don't know. I'm going to have to sell it, put it on." Back then we used to put stuff in the recycler classifieds, and I was going to put it on there. And I said, "Hey, He goes, oh, I want it. I go, how much? He goes, $75. Or I go, how about $75? He goes, okay. So I pushed we did something. I forget what we did. He got it over to his house, and he actually did the first time I'd ever seen a patina restore. He actually just went home and took lacquer thinner and wiped off all the primer. And there's this sealing wax red and beige gray, all old looking paint and everything. And nobody did that at this time, guys. This was like nobody was doing that. No, I had never seen anybody do it. And I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he goes, "Well, it looks cool." I go, "Yeah, it does kind of look cool, And he had this patina bus, and I think it even had seats in it. I think it had a middle seat, but it had the back seat in it and the front seats. And of course, still had a bug trans in it. And I don't know what he did. I think he left the trans the same, and he sold that thing again for $400. So a lot of you guys would love to have that bus now. It was a no rust bus. It was clean. I just wanted Safari windows. Didn't care. Back then, they were really not worth anything. So anyway, I know I've done it. I've done originals. I took them out of the cars. So it's really not hard to do. So anyway, let me show you what you do for the next step real quick, and then we'll move on. So on this thing, there is a upside down and right side up. And I don't really remember which way it goes. It's always opposite of what you think. So place it in place. Look at it. It'll make sense. And then before you weld it, generally what I do is I'll actually place it in place, clamp it real quick, lift the Safaris up. Okay, make sure it's in the right position. Either right side up or upside down. I don't know. I can't really remember which way it goes. I know it's the opposite of what you usually think. So I put this in place. I'll take it back off real quick, grind the areas. Then I'll place it back on. And I'll actually have a nice clean metal because I don't want to have a lot of popping going on. I do a lot of these on my buses at the very end. Sometimes I just don't want to spend that $500 and some odd dollars for the Safaris in the middle of a project. So a lot of times I'll do it at the very end, and I'll just touch these brackets up. And honestly, you can't tell when I do that. So I'm really worried about my slag and stuff like that. So I do clean the metal really clean before I put these on and weld them. So I would highly recommend the same. Because usually what I'll do is I'll clamp it in place, and I'll kind of give you I'll show you what I'm doing. And I use a C-clamp to do that because it holds in place real nice. Let me just show you, but I'm not going to grind right now because it's dark out. Somebody's going to get mad if I start grinding. So I'll C-clamp them in place like this. Okay, I've checked it with it wide open. It's impossible for me to do this right now and hold my cell phone. But I'm going to show you guys. You open it up like this. Make sure that when the bracket is straight, okay, and it goes on, and it should be on this way right here, where the wide parts at the bottom, top, and the narrow parts at the top. And that should give you the right angle so that when you put these things on here, it lines up pretty well. Now, usually what I'll do is I will weld in this one first. Okay, I'll weld in the middle one first. Okay, I'll weld in the middle one first. Then what I'll do is quickly I'll take the Safari window back out when I weld it. When I get it all ready and weld it. Sometimes I do. Well, a lot of times I'll just pry it up. But I will warn you that you will get a few pits in your glass if you do this. So I just take a razor blade and knock them out. It's not a big deal to me. But if you guys are looking for that super show car, take them out. But if it moves, good luck. You'll be cutting it back off. So if the bracket moves while you're trying to take it back off, that's why I don't do it. So, and I just clean them off with a razor blade. But so I'll go ahead and weld it in right here. I'll go ahead and grind everything what I'll do now is I would just take this and go ahead and mark it, okay, where it's going to be, grind it, okay, and then grind it, and then I'll put it back on and reset it again, and then I just weld it in place. Actually, I'll just put a pry bar under the glass, lift it up, hold it up all the way so it's out of the way, give it a couple tacks, and then I'll do the middle one. Then after I do that, I'll install. So just see, this pretty much tells you from here on out how you can do this. Is then I'll go ahead and put in the middle one first, weld it in, check it with both windows up, make sure it's in the right place and everything else. I mean, after I put in this, I won't even put all. I'll put all the screws in this one. Then I'll go ahead and put this one in, line it up the same way as I did the other one, because I've already showed you how to do one side. That you do the other side exactly the same, and then I'll prop both of them up on one arm, okay, and then I'll place these two brackets in the right place here and clamp and weld them right to this. That's all there is to it. And then on these things here, I just eyeball them in the center. These little things here, the latches. Okay, this is just my spin on this. You know, I'm saying look at the directions, but sometimes it's easier to kind of visualize some of this stuff. See, somebody who's done them a few times. So you got two different ones of these. There's the inner and outer, and they're different. Let's see, that's that one, the right one. There's one long one and one short one. Like that. The long one goes on the outer, and the short one goes on the inner. And all you do is just basically put your latches up like this. Figure out where center is. I just eyeball it. Make sure the latch is going to reach over it. Give yourself it'll be about like this. Give yourself about a little bit of room there for your rubber, because your rubber is going to fit right in there. And then I use the same self tapper or self driller drilling screw, and I just put them in there, number 10 screws that come with the kit. I'll put them on like that. This one here and the big one over here, and you're done. So that's really all there is to it. That's just kind of my spin on it. I'm just trying to give you guys a heads up of how that I get the center mainly, and how do I get this thing to be in the right position. And it's all by eye, because if you try and measure it, you can definitely get it wrong, because every bus is different. They're always just there's been work done, and there's stuff that's messed up. So hopefully you guys are lucky with your safaris. You can get them on the right place. In fact, that's how I did it in 30 years ago, back when I got my safaris from my other bus that I took off another bus. I just totally did it exactly like I'm showing you right now. All right, so that's it for the Safari windows install on your VW bus. And good luck. We'll see you at the next show, and let's hope this SO23 gets done in time. Definitely want to get it there. All right, talk to you later. Bye.